This is Muhammad Azizul Haq, Assistant Teacher, Kishorganj Government Boys High School, Kishorganj. Welcome everybody. I don't know how you are, particularly I'm telling for the students of Kishorganj Government Boys High School, but I hope that all of you are fine in sacrifice of our Almighty Allah. Although the pandemic corona crisis is going on all over the world side by side in our Bangladesh, that's why overall condition of our Bangladesh is not so good, particularly our education system is not running properly, and that's why sometimes we are coming before you through online classes. And you know, in my former classes I told you something about the basic things of English language, and if I recap this, then I can remind you, as I told you, for example, what is language, what is the difference between mother tongue and other languages, what is the technique of learning of a language, and how or why do we learn English, or what is the importance of learning English, and how can we handle this language. I told you that we shouldn't take English as a subject oriented subject. It is a skill based subject. As it is a skill based subject, that's why we have to think before studying English that I am not going to study this subject only for exam purpose. Rather, I am going to study this subject for my exam purpose, side by side, to develop 4 basic language skills. Okay, now I would like to start my today's class. Let's go to enjoy my class. See that in the screen I have written 3 terms: education, basic education, and moral education. What is education? You know, education is the process by which we can improve ourselves, by which we can develop ourselves, we can change ourselves behaviorally, and the main thing is outer publication of one's latent talent. And if I tell you that is the definition of education, then if I ask you another question, then what is basic education? There is somewhat difference between education and basic education. You know that with the teachers and all the students and guardians also are related to education. So with all people who are related to education, first of all, I think we know the difference between education and basic education or moral education. And what is basic education? You know, many of us are educated, highly educated, but the purpose of education, if the purpose of education is not properly materialized or properly bred in the mind of a person or properly changed, if the education cannot change one person properly, then we cannot tell that it is proper education or basic education. The education by which we can change ourselves, and the purpose of education is to acquiring knowledge. By that knowledge, if we bring innovative things, if we can be creative, if we think freehand, and then we can tell that we are able to achieve basic education. And then what is moral education? And it is another subject which is related to our religion, uh, uh, Islamic studies. After that I'm telling about it, because that there are a lot of people basically in our country who are highly educated, but being educated or having done or completed higher education, after that there are some persons who are not morally educated. They have no morality. They don't feel any hesitation when do any kind of crimes. That's why we are at present where we are in the position of acquiring knowledge, taking education. So I'm telling for you, actually you are in the stage, at this stage you have to think about your acquiring knowledge, basically you're taking education. If you are not morally educated, if you don't have the morality, then I think such kind of acquiring knowledge and taking education, receiving higher education is valueless, will be valueless for you also. That's why I'm telling you, you will just try your level best to receive your education properly, morally, by which you can serve the nation in future. Okay. Thank you. Now come to the next point. See that there are two pictures here, and there is a story, and you can see in the screen. I am reading it out for you. Okay. There are two persons here. Actually, Mr. Basic Ali and Mr. Exam Ali are friends. Both of them want to learn how to ride a bicycle. Mr. Exam Ali has taken a book to know how to ride a bicycle, and Mr. Basic Ali has taken a bicycle and started to ride. While riding, basically falls down, and every now and then, and Exam Ali laughs while falling down basically. After 3 days, basically is able to learn how to ride a bicycle, but Exam Ali remains busy with his book. Now, there is one question for you. What is the question? The question is, who has learnt how to ride a bicycle? Of course, the person who has taken the bicycle and is able to learn it properly, and the person who has taken a book and read it a lot, but uh, hasn't touched the bicycle, so it is not possible on the part of him to know the to know how to ride a bicycle. So what is the difference between both of the persons? Actually, the person who is able to ride a bicycle, he has acquired the knowledge properly, and is able to apply his knowledge in practical life. On the other hand, Mr. Exam Ali, who knows how to ride a bicycle, but he cannot apply his knowledge in practical life. That's why that is the difference between both of the person. So while acquiring knowledge, I think you have to remember that if you are not able to apply your acquired knowledge in practical life for positive thinking, for innovative thinking, or for innovations, then I think such kind of acquiring knowledge will be valueless. So the knowledge you will acquire, you will achieve by reading or studying should be practical, should be innovative, should be creative, so that you can you can play the role something like that, a pillar of building. If I compare you with a pillar, see that if there is any gap in the pillar, then that pillar cannot support the building. Like the pillar, if there is gap in you, then it will be very tough for you to support your nation. If there is any gap in the pillar, then a building may collapse. But if there is any gap in EU who will lead the country in future, I think whole nation will be collapsed. That's why you have to think a lot while acquiring knowledge. Okay, now come to the second next uh, topic. Actually, it is written in the slides. See that I have written what is the purpose, aims, and objectives of education. Okay, what is the purpose of education? If I tell you, or I told you perhaps in your regular class when I took the class going to the real classroom, but I am very sorry you are not before me, that's why I feel somewhat problem, and not possible, sometimes not possible to tell the main point. Actually I have forgotten. So if you were before me, you asked me questions and I did the classroom activities, peer work and group works, and I try my level best to make you understand. If there is any ambiguity or any question which may come in your mind, then you can ask me question. So that was the real classroom situation, but now we are missing you a lot. Anyway, now let's see what is the purpose of education. The purpose of education is to outer publish of one's latent talent. See that there are three points here. Outer publication of one's latent talent by acquiring knowledge, and another one is behavioral change, and third one is to achieve human qualities, to be a man like a man. Those are the main purpose of education. Actually everybody wants to acquire knowledge, and all will tell you that what is the purpose of education. The purpose of education is to outer publish of one's latent talent and change behaviorally, or to acquire proper knowledge and to be a man like a man. Those are the purpose of education. But in Bangladesh, I think there is another purpose, and the things which I have already told you for the purpose of education, it is appropriate at the sector of all over the world. But I think there is another purpose in Bangladesh for you education, because when you will go to complete your education. That means when one person completes his education, or highly educated, after completion his education, he or she has to do something. If he or she is not able to do anything, then he will be unemployed person in our society. Then our society will not pardon us, will not that means will consider that very person that he is unemployed, and in that very moment he or she has to face or tolerates different kinds of comments from different corners. So nobody wants to be unemployed. Everybody wants to do something after completion one's education, and it is the another purpose of education in Bangladesh. So I think if you want to do anything, then you have to face different kinds of interview, and you have to face